A lot of people innocently don't even believe in the reality that they are love or that love is possible. You know, love is, gosh, what's that prayer? Love is gentle and kind. Those two attributes are so missed. You know, love is gentle. It is kind. It's inclusive. It's accepting. There's an allowance. Mary, I love that this topic has come up for us and that we decided to have a conversation. The focus on romantic love, which is an aspect of love. But as we all know, it certainly is much more broad and beautiful than that love alone. You know, I think sometimes in society or in life, we have the perception that love is coming from outside of ourselves. And with that, innocently, we as humans place demands or expectations because it's something that we want to get. I want love. I want you to love me. I want to find the love of my life. I want a mate. I want. And that perception or filter or lens of love is deducting because it's something that, number one, we don't have control of from the love of the outside. But truthfully, the love that we experience from my own experience is the love that we are. I think that's the most beautiful awareness or reality, is recognizing that our nature is love.
That reminds me of how at some seminars, a relationship seminar, a date with destiny seminar, oftentimes, Tony, you guys have an exercise where you'll ask the audience to make a list.
Yes.
And say, write down all the things, think of your ideal relationship, think of your ideal partner, make a list of everything you'd like them to be. What do they look like? What do they act like? What's their sense of humor like? Everything. What's their favorite book? And people come up with these long lists. And then Tony will say, okay, now make a list of the love that you would have to be to attract that person that you just described. And we often have a little laugh because people's lists of how they would have to be as love is often a lot shorter than the list of that the other would have to give. So
in you know, our media, social media, or the lens of the world, love, the word itself has been so distorted. You know, the word itself has been so diluted or deducted, and that a lot of people innocently don't even believe in the reality that they are love or that love is possible. You know, love is, gosh, what's that prayer? Love is gentle and kind. Those two attributes are so missed. You know, love is gentle. It is kind. It's inclusive. It's accepting. There's an allowance. You know, gosh, having, you know, our daughter and having a little one at this stage, and, you know, gosh, she's just 20 months. And it's so remarkable to me that whether you know, she pees on you, throws up on you, or every other bodily function that transpires, you know, there's just this enjoyment, this appreciation, this adoration of the experience of the innocence and the purity. And I think through the filter, maybe through the, you know, I don't know, these movies or these ideal, you know, or different cartoons that portray this, you know, maybe princess and prince, and, you know, this individual is going to come and, you know, save you. There's a miss of the beautiful, awesome reality of how we are created. And when we connect to that, when we tune into that, when we tap into that reality, it's so beautiful because then we just get to extend that. Yeah. We get to share that rather than unconditionally, rather than expect that. And for those of you who are listening, maybe you think like, that's not true. That's not my experience. Just look to where, just find that truth if you can. Maybe it isn't with your partner, but maybe it's with a really dear friend that it's like, I freaking love this person. There's nothing that they could do. You know, it's just that unconditional love and acceptance. Maybe it's with your child. Yep. Maybe it's with your grandmother or your pet, your dog. Yep. I know that sounds crazy, but
I have felt that way, and you have made me feel that way before. And I don't know that this is too much of a stretch, but just to give you an example, a long time ago, almost about 10 years ago.
I don't know what story this is going to be, so that's
well, I mean, we're different people. As anyone listening is, you're a different person now than you were 10 years ago, or I mean, I'm foreshadowing to try to have some caveats about the story I'm going to tell, but I had not gotten sober yet. I was still drinking. Tony, I had met you guys. We were working on Tony's book, Money Master the Game. So I'm working hard, et cetera, and was here on business for long days and nights and sometimes weeks, staying at the hotel. And as I mentioned, I was still drinking at this time, sometimes more heavily than I would have liked to admit. And I was walking down the hotel hallway. I've never told this story, I don't think, to anyone. I was walking down a hallway and kind of like, like a pinball from door to door on uncertain, unsure footing. And not one of my best moments. It's hard for me even to picture the girl that was walking down that hallway, fumbling with her hotel key, trying to find the right hotel room. And I looked down the hallway and you were standing there. And I had a moment of like, I was mortified. I was shocked. I was embarrassed. I was humiliated. And I wanted to hide. There's nowhere to hide in a hotel hallway, right? And like, if I could have thrown a black hole on the ground and dove in it, I would have. And I'm just like, had this flood of emotion of like, there goes everything. There goes my life. There goes my job. There's no way I'm not going to get fired. I can't even stand up straight. And you came over and you were just like, hey, Mare.
Hey, Mare, you doing all right?
And I was like, honestly, probably what was I afraid of? I was probably afraid that I was going to lose your love because you and I were very good friends even at that point.
Yes.
It makes me emotional to think about because I was just like, I was terrified and ashamed and just thinking, she's never, everything that I've ever known with her is gone. And you were just like, looks like you need some help getting me into my room.
Yes, I remember that.
Do you remember this?
I do remember that story. And I love that that's what was stirred out through this conversation. I remember when you left, you didn't feel yourself and definitely continued to linger in my being. And I felt uneasy. And by the way, innocently, we as human beings, we feel these instincts, and I think it's so beautiful when we tune in and act. And that was one of those moments. And I remember walking down the hallway and seeing you, and I had love and compassion for you. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get you in that room. I got to get that key and help you open that door.
Shoes off.
Love is birthed through many moments of that. Where, when you love, it wasn't about what I thought you should be doing or shouldn't be doing. I couldn't care less. I cared about you and I wanted you supported and to know that, hey, I was there. I'm just so surprised that you're sharing this conversation or this story right now.
Maybe it's not the right place to share.
I think it's actually really beautiful. I think it's really beautiful because it's a reminder that love sees through a lens. There is, love doesn't judge. Love accepts, it allows, it understands, it connects.
It's patient. I think we're speaking of Corinthians. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's the prayer that you were mentioning. I think the love is patient, love is kind.
Yes.
I expected to be met with disgust and judgment. And it wasn't like you weren't laughing. It was just, it felt nothing but compassion. And that moment of love is what made me be like, something's got to change.
Well, that's beautiful. How many years have you been sober, Mary B?
I am going on 7 years.
That's incredible. That's awesome.
Yep. I haven't had a drink in 7 years. I can't believe it. And it's probably worth mentioning in the Love podcast, if alcohol is something that you don't have a healthy relationship with, I would not have been able to admit this. I would have been like, it is not unhealthy. In fact, it is the lubricant that I need for my emotions to go into that direction of, love is probably the wrong word there. That's not love, but for relationships, let's say.
Or life.
For life. I wouldn't have thought I would be able to function without it. And this is not an advertisement to do that. I'm just saying, if you hear this and any part of you goes, man, my relationship, I would have a lot less problems if I didn't have maybe some problems myself with alcohol or whatever your thing is. Everybody's got something probably. And when you find someone that will love you through that and you want to be better for, that's a powerful thing. And it's also an example of, it doesn't have to be your, you know, this isn't some romantic story. This person loved me enough to make me say, I don't ever want to be that. Because I was judging myself as disgraceful. And if that was my impression of myself in that moment, I don't want to be that for you. And you made me see that I don't want to be that for me.
Well,
and love does that.
Well, I think you just stumbled upon something that a lot of times culturally or in this world that we can miss, because love really does start with ourselves. And I simply reflected who you are, Mare, in that moment, or maybe possibly reminded you who you are. And I think we're all doing that, or we all have the opportunity to do that for each other. And that's the gift of, that's where we meet in this human experience. And by the way, if it isn't alcohol, we all numb ourselves or can distract ourselves, or, there's many different ways to do such things. And if it isn't alcohol, it might be food, or if it isn't food, it might be this. We can all walk down that path. And then there's another way, which is actually leaning into it and stepping through it and understanding what's coming up. I was thinking about this conversation and thinking about, like, where does unconditional love fit in this society? And I think it, for myself anyways, or from my own experience more accurately, it's the understanding that we are all in this thing together. We all have this internal experience of mind that, there's those two voices within inside of ourselves. It's like the one that is a greater truth, or a broader truth, or the truth for ourselves. And there's the one that's kind of the naysayer, that's, you can't do this, or this, that, or the other. Like you said, shameful or disgust. That wasn't even my reference point. But I think that's so remarkable that we all have that flight. We all walk that path, no matter where we come from, what religion, what race, what education. And I think that juncture, that oneness, that we are all in this human experience. I mean, gosh, you look at people from Prince Harry, from, our beloved Twitch that, just, took his life most recently. And it's like, oh my gosh, you wouldn't think of maybe somebody in a position of that nature, or a certain level of fame, or that one might perceive that, oh my gosh, they have everything. But, we are still having to navigate that inner world of mind, and the doubts and the fears and so forth, and hopefully question and inquire and transcend those pieces. I think that's the opportunity for us all. And I think that, recognizing that, the same force that beats my heart beats your heart, beats Ethan's heart, beats all of our hearts. Everybody that's listening, that is where we meet. I think that's gorgeous.
Sage oftentimes ends, I tease you, because like you'll end many sentences with, that's where we all meet. And which I take to mean, like, that is the collective that psychologists talk about. That's the collective human experience. And so Tone teaches that we all have many fears: fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of too much success. But the primary fear that we all meet in is this fear of we're not enough, not enoughness, insufficiency, we're not enough, and so we won't be loved. And
which is just a thought, by the way.
It's just a thought.
I'm not enough is simply just a thought. If we believe it, we really suffer. But it's just for those of you who are listening, we all have that thought. And if we believe it, we really go down a rabbit hole. And the gift of this human experience is the capacity to be able to question it. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's exactly it. So I think you're saying it's just a thought. So for any of us who feel at times, in moments, it can feel debilitating. And I think that for people who take their life, for people who talk about struggles with mental illness, or just, without even putting labels on it, just feeling like, I can't do this anymore. It's usually like a feeling of like, I don't know what to do. I don't know which way to go. Any way I go, I'm not going to be enough. I'm not going to find an answer. And feeling that sense of overwhelm, like you don't have what it takes to do it, whatever it is. And you're saying, hey, when all that pressure feels like it's like physically on you, it is just a thought that you're believing.
Well, it is. If we believe that thought, that narrative becomes a part of our internal tapestry. That's a really painful reality. And I've been there. There's been so many circumstances that have come up in my own life that,
I would love for you to talk a little bit about like your own life. Give us a little touch for a second on like you and Tone have been together forever. We see these images of
23
you guys.
years.
You're such a beautiful couple.
It's not to say that Tone and I haven't been to heaven and hell again and heaven again internally, individually and collectively. There's been times, I don't know, at the beginning of a relationship, of any relationship, especially, I can't say any relationship, that's not accurate. In more of an intimate relationship of a dynamic, we have more impressions or conditioning around an expectation of who they're supposed to be. And that's brutal. That's painful.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in the early days of, I want you to be present for me. I want you to understand me. I want you to like all these
that
ridiculous.
Long list we talk about
it's
that
so
people
ridiculous.
have for the other. Yeah.
And then when that person doesn't match that of your, crazy expectation of that, and then we go inside of ourselves and we suffer and it disconnect, and then we're not loving ourselves, never mind them.
Yep.
That gets weird and it gets clunky. And so I feel like the first, I don't know how long, you spend the first probably decade getting over yourself,
Yep.
Getting over yourself and understanding yourself. And so that, you're pretty much, I feel like Tony and I are at this stage, we're left with love and gratitude. Like we are left with love and gratitude. I love that man. And whatever makes him happy, whatever that looks like, I want that for him, and he wants that for me.
Yep.
And I think that's what I'd want for our daughter. I want her happiness. I have love and gratitude for the experience, but I have no expectation of that she needs to be something other than what she is. Right. And that's freedom. That's freedom. It's our demands. It's like, I love you if. I love you when you do this. I love you when you marry me. I want this. Once again, it's these weird, strange demands that we place on this notion of love, and yet that's not love. It destroys love. It's control. It's control. It what's that word like?
Constricts. What?
Yeah, constricts or strangles love. Not love. Our experience of it, because when we have those expectations, we shut off our own. Love is a currency. It's a resonance, and you can feel it. You can walk into the room and feel that experience. It's an invisible force. You can't see it. You can't hold on to it. You can't control it. But it's a happening. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful happening, and it extends. Just today, this beautiful man in this room here, hi Ethan, who's filming this, I walked in and just saw his face, and it's like, wow, it's so beautiful to be with you. I have a love for him, yep. Who he is. And I think that's where life really gets beautiful, is when you recognize, whatever you want to call it. If you're not a believer in God, if you are, it's like we're all children of God. If you're not, it's like the same force that breathes my breath, breathes yours. And so that there's this interconnectedness of this oneness, and all of a sudden this equality, or I don't know that equality is the right word, but this meeting point, this juncture that I was created, you were created, and I'm going through this human experience, you're going through this human experience. We all experience, life and like death and, all this human experience, or not enoughness. And it's like, what? So such sweet compassion and appreciation for us, everyone. I mean, how could you not? Yep. And I think when you have that lens, rather than, they're this, yep. They're this political party, they're this religion, they're this whatever race, they're this, that. It's like, okay, that is a description, that is an identity, that might be a facet, but that's not who you are. That's not who I am. We are so much more beautiful and complex and intricate. I don't know that that's even the word.
I know our friend Mickey Singer talks about open and close. Can you maybe speak to that a little bit?
Well, you can feel intrinsically inside yourself when you're open and connected and feeling that there's a spaciousness inside you. There's a willingness, there's a receptivity, there's an aliveness to life, to And, closing is, feels very different. It feels tight. It feels constricted. Can feel fearful because you're believing your thoughts. It's humbling, and I experienced that dance. I know what it feels like to feel that heavy density of feeling like, and feeling fear or that tightness or constriction, and what it feels like on the other side of that.
Even if you're just like, yep, nope. The people that you really love, that shortness is a closing, is a constriction of.
It is.
Constriction of the faucet. We modulate our love. If they do this, we give them this response. If they do that, they get this response. That's closing. That's opening and closing. That's what we mean, I think, when we talk about that. And when I learned that and then tuning into that feeling, it's a great little yardstick.
Well, I think that's one of the gifts of this human experience is that, I don't know if it's a gift. Well, I think it is a gift, is that we are all responsible for our life. And as well, that inner tapestry or that inner discord or inner harmony, And so, if you're feeling that resistance, or if you're feeling that tightness or that constriction, less pleasant, it's a gift of inquiry, or even identifying, tuning in, what am I even believing in order to be experiencing this? Because it's a belief or it's a story, it's a narrative. And it's usually happening this way, something from yesterday. If you think of if all of your life was completely erased up till this very moment, then all would be experiencing is this moment, the sensations inside of ourselves, what we see, what we feel, what we perceive. And think about it, if you just literally walked into this planet, it's like, what? This
eternal sunshine of the spotless mind.
This beautiful reality.
Yes.
This beautiful moment. This exact moment. All you have to do is close your eyes to tap into it. You know what? My heart's beating. I woke up this morning. Sometimes I'll wake up and I'll see my feet on the ground. And I'm like, oh, hello. I don't know. I have this body, this thing that carries me around. It blows my mind. And that when I think of that miracle, I fall in love. I'm like, wow, I'm really grateful to be alive today. Life can change in an instant. My dad, we were just talking last night, and he was driving down the street the other day, and this truck drove by, and this really big block of wood hit the front of his vehicle. And he was like it, number one, beyond startling him, he thought like a bomb went off. He didn't know what happened, but he was like life can change in an instant. Yep. In an instant. We just never know when our last breath will be. And I think it's beautiful to live it so fully, so utterly, and leave nothing on the table, so that, there's a fullness to life. I don't know. I think it's a beautiful experience to get into bed and feel like, whoa, what a lived day. That's love. Mm-hmm. That's love.
It's true. Absolutely.
And if you're in a relationship, if you're not, if you have children, if you don't, if you have parents, if you have friends, whatever, if you're straight, if you're gay, if you're whatever's true for you, however love expresses or life expresses as you, that's really what this is all about. And, I wanted to say one more thing about, when you mentioned about Tony and I and the acceptance, I think one of the most gorgeous recognitions when you realize that it's like, I am you, you are me. And so, at the beginning,
stop right there though. Explain that.
Okay. Well, the same, I have judgments, I have fears.
Okay.
I feel sadness, you feel so we have that meeting point. So it's like if I'm like, oh, she's this or he's doing that or she's so, it's like, well,
find all the places that you are too.
Because can't you?
Of course.
If you've felt not enough, if you felt like I can't do this, if you felt like, I can't. We've all been there. Mm-hmm. We've all been there. And so how can you can, because mind judges, but I think that's just the recognition that it's like, I don't know, somewhere along the line, after all these years, you start to recognize gosh, who am I to point the finger? Who am I to point the finger? Because somebody's yelling or, they're speaking in a harsh voice, or they're cursing, or they're slamming the door, or they're this. I've done that. I've done that all.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
So who the heck am I to, if you were drinking and me showing up that day and you were drinking, well, what have I done to numb myself? Many things, we all have. And I think that's the beauty of the recognition that that's where we all come together. That's the true oneness, that we are all, brothers and sisters on this path. If that doesn't feel true to you, we are all, but we are. Mm-hmm. No matter where we come from, we are all in this human experience. It looks different for you than it does for me. For those of you listening at home, like maybe you're driving, maybe you're walking on the beach, maybe you have this on your iPhone, maybe you're cooking something, but we all do these things. We're all experiencing life. And I think that is extraordinary. And that gets missed because there's so much innocent focus about our differences or what separates us. But I think there's this beautiful, magnificent universe of what unites us. Mm-hmm. And, we didn't just stumble into life. It's a miracle. You know what I mean? What the heck? Life is a miracle. The fact that we are alive is a miracle. And so that's love in itself. Mm-hmm. To love life. That doesn't mean that you love everything that happens. It doesn't mean that everything that happens is pleasant. It doesn't mean that people aren't going to die. You're not going to experience loss. You're not going to experience pain. But the beauty of it, the mess of it, the pain of it, it's life. And because we're experiencing that, we're alive. And I think that's incredible.
Mm-hmm. And the balm, you often use the word balm, the balm that love can be in this life that does entail at times loss and grief and struggle. Then to know someone's love, that's pretty miraculous too.
Yeah,
I'm grateful for that.
It's just so beautiful how God places these unexpected gifts of, a human through a glance, through a reaching out, through somebody holding your hand, holding the space for you in an unexpected way, a hello, a smile, the warmth of that, the currency, the resonance of that, and what that feels like. That's love. It's the most simple, ordinary, what one may even perceive to be mundane, and yet so incredibly profound. That's love.
In all forms.
In all forms.
Sometimes unexpected.
Yes.
So I was going to mention when I'm bringing up finding love, let's say through dating apps, which is such a common experience. And I just want to be so clear. I have zero judgment of that. I've used them myself successfully and unsuccessfully, even though there's no such thing. And what I do think we maybe should at least be aware of is we had a friend over for dinner the other day. And he is a dad. He has two sons in their 20s. And he was telling us how he and his wife had sat with their sons and their sons' girlfriends. And they were talking about the experience of dating apps and what that's like and how now, and I'm not putting this on them because I absolutely know this is exactly what I did. You set your filters, right? So you think there's plenty of fish out there. And then we narrow our filters to this height and this eye color and this, just the most ridiculous prerequisites for things. And so then by the time it's all said and done, you are working with a 3% stripe of the potential population. You're wondering where are they? I can't find them. It's no, you've eliminated them. And so not even what I've taken away, what life has actually shown me in my experience is be surprised by those that will love you and by those that you will be called to love. And they might not fit into your little filters.
Yes.
But, if you say that we're all children of God, and if you're a believer or not a believer, if you believe that something at least created all of us or all of this, then you're offering that to some kind of a higher power. So, and I hope that, we can see that there's got to be something greater than us. And so that force must be more creative than anything we can imagine.
Yes.
And so if you're limiting to like, they have to be this tall and, you know, they have to speak 3 languages and they have to be great at this. And it's like, we're dumbing it down. And like, what about the creative? Tone teaches about the most important things. The ultimate success formula is you have to stay flexible and you have to be resourceful and you got to get creative. And these are the things, just like in anything else that will make you quote unquote successful. I think when we're talking about love, even is like, get creative. Don't just work with this one little, like, this is all I want and this is all that will work for me. It's like, where's the fun in that? Be surprised. Let it, get messy, like you said.
It's true. And a lot of times those qualities, they're about attraction.
Right.
It's not necessarily even about love. And love looks different. I mean, you look at this unique constellation of this family. And for those of you who didn't possibly tune into our Mother's Day podcast, Mary carried our daughter. She was the surrogate and ended up being an adoptive parent of our daughter. And that came through love. That came through this unexpected constellation of these human souls that were brought together and brought this, beautiful being into existence. And the unexpectedness is this chosen family. And there's a sharing, and it magnifies love. It makes life more beautiful in that sharing. And it's unexpected. I never imagined it. It's gorgeous and beautiful, and of course has its challenges as well. But no different than any human life would have its challenges.
Every relationship,
yes,
every form of love.
But it's so, I couldn't have created that. I couldn't have wrote this script, but it came out of a painful circumstance. It was birthed out of, not being able to, or miscarrying so many times and not being able to carry a child myself. And so this unexpectedness of this, this aggregate of these beautiful humans that came together, that humbles me and amazes me. And I'm not that intelligent or cool to think it up. And that would be missed on an app. Not to say that you cannot fall in love on an app. I think they're, wonderful because we can, life offers us love anywhere. Love defies the odds, or certainly this family has defied the odds or the unexpectedness of how this amazing constellation has come together. And I look at our daughter and she has more love, not less. And because of it, and you get to experience what it's like to be a mother, to be a parent, because of that really courageous choice that you made to carry her. I'm blessed with the gift to have a daughter that I wouldn't have without, you, without this amazing family, and Tone being a father. And this, it blows me away and it humbles me every day. And I think, just talking to people and people in our life, I think, a lot of times parents are coming together, or human beings are coming together. Maybe you're married before, maybe you weren't, maybe you had children, maybe you didn't, maybe you want to have a child again, whatever it looks like, or, you're hanging out with them, and that's really cool, and that's enough. It looks, life in love looks so beautifully different and as diverse as it possibly can, as we are humans. And I think that's gorgeous.
I do too. And that doesn't mean I don't wake up most mornings and think, how did I get here? How did this happen?
What do I always say?
God.
I do.
Yes.
I do.
That's your answer only every time. And it's true. We told, you guys have a friend who has a mutual friend who is the Canadian psychologist and author, Jordan Peterson.
Oh, yes.
So one day they actually came over to the house, and Jordan and his wife. And so I remember this day, it was Tony and you and myself and baby. And it was the first time we'd never met. We had no backstory on each other. So you were kind of introducing you and kind of our family to them. And so you kind of went through the whole thing. Like, Tony and I have been married over 20 years and we have been on the path to starting a family, and that hasn't been without its challenges. And, so Mary actually carried our child. She's our surrogate, but we all live together now, and we actually legally pursued third parent adoption. And so this is the unique constellation that we're living by. And I remember him sitting there and just like taking it all. And by the way, he's such a bright mind and extremely
Beyond,
articulate.
he's so brilliant.
He speaks with precision and his language has such accuracy. And I'm an admirer of his work. His biblical lectures, I think, are some of the best resources on the subject that exists. And he was, taking this all, I'm going to say it again, we had just met, and Sage gives him our kind of family nutshell in 30 seconds. And he was like, that must require a lot of negotiation. And I'm not disagreeing with him, but I remember hearing him use that word. And I was like, in my head, I had like kind of a head tilt, like, I wonder what negotiation means to him. I'm sure he has a very precise interpretation of that word. And I got lost in my own, like, negotiation, interesting, that's what that would mean to him. Okay. And I'm just like, and before I could even think to myself, but that doesn't really resonate with you and Tony and I in this situation, you looked at him extremely respectfully. I want to make that really clear, and just said, no, not when there's love as a base, not when there's virtue, not when you're all in servitude to each other. And I remember that moment, and it almost brings tears to my eyes, because your answer to nearly everything, Sage Robbins, is love. Like, God, love, God. Like, it's one of the two pretty much to everything. And do you remember that moment?
I remember that moment. I think I shared that. I said it was my experience, or our experience, that it was the currency of love, that there really wasn't a negotiation. I wanted you supported. You wanted me supported. We all wanted each other supported. And it extends beyond that. It's, my mama and daddy, your mama, there's like family all of a sudden really grew. There was Tone's family, your family, my family, and all these humans coming together in the name of bringing this little one into existence. That was extraordinary to me. Mm-hmm. And then, for any of you who have been out there and, have miscarried and lost a child, it was over a 20-year journey, and it was painful, and it was beautiful. And it was, I never imagined being here today, certainly at a much later stage of life, never my wildest. And so to have that come to fruition in such a holistic, I'm thinking of holistic, bless you, that it is and continues to be one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. And if I thought it should have looked this way, or love should have looked this way or that way, or the family was, just this, I would have robbed myself from this experience. This merger of hearts, it's so humbling, it's so beautiful. Billy Beck, who was just here, he's the godfather of our daughter. A very dear sister and friend, who's the godmother, and
who lives in Israel.
And
even though she was born in China.
Yes.
See the tentacles that love can branch out to.
Mm-hmm. And love sees no color. Love sees no religion. Love sees no race. Love sees no age. Love simply loves. And that is, love transcends all the illusions or delusions of what mind tells us about what a relationship or our life is going to be. And if you're simply open and receptive enough to be amazed and surprised, and if you can extend possibly that 2 or 3%, whatever you said on your, when you're swiping this way or you're on an app and looking for this person to look a certain way, if you have that thought, we can miss. You never imagined that your family or that life would look this way, that you'd be, you know what I mean? I never imagined this, never in my wildest freaking dreams. And I'm humbled by it. I'm moved by it. I'm inspired by it. I'm stretched by it. Yep. I'm schooled by it. It's quite a path. Mm-hmm. And love does that.
Mm-hmm. I wish that people could, if you're watching this now, pull the scroll bar back and listen to what she just said again, because it's not, and Tone always says, a relationship and love is this place that you go to give and not a place that you go to get. So if you have this expectation that this partner of yours is just going to meet your every need, just be open to it looking so differently than you thought. Not just the partner that the whole constellation, I call it, because this is even like, there's so many pieces of this that I'm just like, even when I see friends that I haven't seen in years and I'm like, I know you're not going to believe this, but this is what I'm doing these days. Like, people are like, wait, what now? Like, and I just think if you are willing to open your heart and say, I want to grow and I want to learn and I want to be stretched and I want to see what life might be out there. Show me something. Isn't that what love, like, isn't that the fun? When you think about, if you've had any experience of like the excitement and the newness, you can have that if you take your filters off and say, I'm open to anything. I really am.
Yes.
You know?
And the newness my mom and dad were here a couple months ago, and my mom and I had a moment. We were sitting at the table and our daughter was sitting next to us, and, she took my hand and I can just feel my mom patting my hand, and, just that touch, that moment, lingers with me. Love sits with somebody who's transitioning from this world. That's love. Love, from birth to death, love extends. And, we do it really well as human beings. Well, not all of us, but, a lot of times when children are young, there's not a lot of expectation. You can't expect much from a child. They're going to be, they're going to do what they do. But, to be able to see with the lens of that willingness of purity and innocence, to know that no matter what the behavior, just like you, there's an innocence inside of me. There's an innocence inside of you, no matter what the behavior. And I think that is a powerful understanding to remember. And that is where we all meet. And so how can I point the finger at another? I need to point the finger back at myself, because whatever I think you should or shouldn't be doing, somewhere in the line, we've all been unconscious. We've all missed. We've all been harsh. We've all been unkind. We've all yelled. We've all probably thrown something or smashed something, we've all, as in this human experience, it's like, there's this weird dynamic of, oh, he's so this or she's so that, or can you believe this? And it's like, yeah, I can believe it. In this human experience, I can believe anything.
If you've never walked into an Apple store with your phone in 1,000 pieces, have you ever really been in love? Just me? Can't be. It's true. But you even said, like, we're good at it or we're not.
Good at what?
At love, or, I said that we're wired for it, but we don't necessarily know how to do it. And you talk about there are skills to it. It is muscle, and it is something that, like, what do you think?
I don't know if it's a skill.
Tell me, you don't think it's a skill?
I think it's more of an art. I think it's more of a recognition of an allowance of a state of being. I think it's more of an offering. And that's not to say that there's not very useful tools and strategies and insights that helps us navigate one's own self, never mind another. So there's not to say, but I don't know that that's the skill for love. I think that's the skill for managing the human.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Right,
I think different than love.
Okay, you're right.
I don't know if that, I did.
No,
does
you're
that,
right.
Does that
I don't
land?
think love is a skill. You're exactly right. I do not think love is a skill, but I think, like, sustaining it and nurturing it, especially a relationship with human beings. That's something that
to navigate
takes practice.
Ourselves and another. We could use some skills.
So it just in an effort to provide some practical little takeaways, we often this book is by Dr. Julia Caldwell, a friend of ours, who we found. She lives in Colorado, and she wrote a book called The Relationship Skills Workbook. And Tony's taught a few things at different programs, the relationship program, at Date with Destiny, but really simple ideas. Like, he teaches this process called sensation, emotion, and what you want. So just how to communicate with a partner.
Yes.
You list a sensation in your body. That's an unarguable thing. Nobody can argue with a sensation in your body. And then the emotion you're feeling. And she taught at one of the conferences that you guys hosted that there's these 5 primary emotions. And she said them in a rhyme, like in a mnemonic that was sad, mad, glad, scared, excited. You remembered?
Yes. No, I'm remembering that. And I want to just provide one context for the sensations. Mary said something really beautiful because it's an inarguable statement. What that assists us to do is to drop the blame rather than you made me feel this way. You yelled at me and you know what I mean? It drops that. It's just, I'm feeling this sensation. Sorry, Mary, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You didn't interrupt at all. And that's exactly what you're saying is exactly, there's something in here that's so powerful. So Julie, one of the tidbits in this book is we're always moving out. Our goal is always moving out of blame and into responsibility, which is something I just, like that to me is an essential skill. Like Tone would say, write that down, move ourselves out of blaming the other and into responsibility of self. And so I was going to say, you know, there's all these stories when we get going about our partner did this or they did that or our ex, whatever it is, these big, long stories when really she stood up and she taught there's only those 5 emotions. And it's a really clean way to look at it and say, all right, like, what am I really, if you feel stuck or something, like, what are you really feeling? Are you sad? Are you mad? Are you glad? Are you excited? Are you scared? Are you a combination of any of those? All of them, maybe? And just like if you feel like in a stalemate with someone that you love, no matter who they are, a partner, a mom, a friend, a coworker, come back to the simple things if you have to. Like, what is the emotion? Are you feeling sad? Is there a loss? Are you mad? Is there an anger? Or is it because of an obstacle that you're facing? Are you excited? Are you scared? Is there a fear or a threat that you're facing? Like, just get simple with it and you know, simplify instead of some big long story that takes, 20 minutes to explain.
Well, that is
move from blame to responsibility.
Yes, Mary. And that's such a profound tool because it drops the narratives and the blame and the external demonization and allows us to take responsibility for our experience. And that's loving. It's loving to take responsibility. It's loving to drop our blames. It's loving to drop our judgments of the other. It's loving to know that, hey, you don't have to charm me. You don't have to entertain me. You can simply be who you are, and I see you. And I think that's the beautiful gift of life. That's a beautiful gift of love, is piercing that lens of, the projections and seeing the beautiful, kind soul that is, behind those layers, perfect and whole, as am I, as are you, whoever is listening. That's where we all meet.
I told you she ends every sentence, and that's where we all meet.
Well, I have to pay attention to that.
I like it. I think it's a great reminder.
It is, because it connects us. It unites us. It aligns us. It reminds us of that, of our oneness rather than our separateness. And I find that to be a beautiful lens and a beautiful reminder.
You often offer grace before going to bed, before getting in the car. What I mean by that is anytime you and I have had any kind of disturbance.
Or misunderstanding.
That's a better word for it. I tend to go to my room and think about the misunderstanding. Mm-hmm. And inevitably, this says a lot about you, Sage, is I'll hear like a knock on the door and you'll come in and you'll be like, I just want to tidy something up, or is there anything you want me to understand? Or you'll always seek to, my parents did this too, and I'm grateful for the example, but I do think it's something that's so important in any kind of relationship is before bed, before you get in your car.
Yes.
Just because life is that precious.
To lean in, to lean in and to offer, because, if you think of love being, attributes of it or an expression of it is gentleness and kindness. If you weren't that, if I wasn't that in a moment, if I was harsh in my words, or if I was short, or if I was curt, or, and in the moment that I come back to a clarity of mind and heart, I want to take responsibility for that and clear that for you and for me, for you and for me. It feels unpleasant to be in a state of fear, to be in a state of resistance. So to come and offer kindness is not only kind to you, it's kind to me. So for those of you who are listening, and life is offering us that opportunity every moment. And I pray out of, this entire conversation, if you have one takeaway, just the reminder that your presence, the reminder that your smile, the reminder that your tone of voice, a glance matters to your children, to your beloved, to your parents, to your friends, to your coworkers. And, let's love this world up.
Let's love this world up.
I trust if you're listening that there is a longing or a yearning inside of you to express, the deepest and most sincere part of yourself. And I think life is offering us that opportunity every moment. So don't miss that opportunity to love.
We don't need an excuse. We don't need a reason to love.
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your open hearts, your open minds. And thank you for walking this path. We'll see or hear from you again. Somewhere in
Love
this
you.
existence. Yes, love you. Thank you.